Hey everyone, I'm Propain Tyee and the wait is over. This is the all new Propain Tyee. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am super excited today because the all new Propain Tyee is here. Propain actually just released this bike a couple of hours ago and I've been lucky enough to be riding it for quite some time now. I'm absolutely loving it. I feel very confident riding it and I'm gonna give you today a very close look at it, what Propain has changed between this model and the previous Tyee, what I enjoy. So let's go. The Tyee is the most popular bike within the Propain bike range. It's an enduro bike, it's got 160mm of travel on the back, 160 or 170 on the front, and it is actually the first bike I have ridden from Propain when I signed with the brand back in 2021. I was absolutely loving that bike, but at the time I had a 29er frame and I made some modification to ride it as a mullet, so with a 27.5 rear wheel. Now on the new model, Propain has integrated a flip chip, so with the same frame you can either choose 29 wheels if you want a bike that carries a lot of speed, or if you want something a bit more fun, a bit more capable on steep terrain, you can opt for the mullet version, so with the 27.5 rear wheel. Another thing to keep in mind is when you go on the Propain website, by the way, check out the link in the description. I've got an affiliate link which supports me a lot if you decide to purchase a Propain bike using that link. So when you go on their website, you can actually customize the bike. You can change components, but also badges, stickers, and you can make it your own bike. In terms of pricing, Propain has not increased the price of the new bike. The first model, which is the aluminium, starts at 2,999 euros or US dollar or pounds, depending where you are located. And the carbon version starts at 35.99, which is very affordable. Now let's talk about technical details. Part of my job as a professional rider is to give feedback and input to the brand in order to help develop the new models. And there's quite a few modifications on this bike which I think are really beneficial for the riding experience. So first of all, the bike is a little bit more rigid than the old one, and how it transfers onto your riding is that it gives you a platform that feels more solid. It feels like the bike is more capable when you go fast and when you really push into compression or even big landing. It just simply feels stronger. There's more support on the suspension that allows you to get a platform that's a little bit more dynamic, but also on big impact I found that the bike had that really solid feel that really allowed me to, I feel like, push my riding more. And by the way, in a few weeks I have a new shredded coming out and I really pushed myself on the riding on this one. I did some high consequence move all around Squamish and I think it really shows what the bike is capable of doing. Obviously they incorporated the mullet as we just chatted about it a little bit before. The geometry has been changed a little bit as well. It's more modern, it's a little bit slacker, a little bit longer. So you get basically a 64 head tube angle with a 170 fork. The seat tube is a little bit straighter, just to give you that nice pedaling position. We kept the chainstays at 445 to give you a position that's gonna be very centered and quite stable, which I really enjoyed. And the reach on the size medium is at 455, so it's about 10mm longer than prior. And for me, which is 5'7", 170 centimeters, this is basically my dream geometry. The wheelbase on this bike is 1231mm for size medium with that configuration, and I think that's really perfect for what I'm doing and for that type of bike. I think Propain has absolutely nailed the geometry, but also the suspension on this bike. When I got the shock, the DVO Topaz, I put 2 volume spacers. Prior I had 3. And just adjusted the rebound. I run 185 psi on the shock, and right away things were pretty perfect. I haven't played much with it because I was very happy with the initial setup. And yeah, that's about it in terms of riding abilities. A few more modifications Propain has done. The cables are now going below the stem straight onto the across headset. So the reason behind that is because it looks cleaner. When you are riding, you no longer see the cable in front of you, but also there is much less rattlings. The cables no longer bump into each other, and the bike is significantly more quiet than the previous one. It's actually basically almost silent when you ride, and I think this is awesome. Talking about cables, the previous Tyee had the cables go below the down tube and they were pretty exposed. A lot of people had complained. I personally never had an issue with it, but it didn't look nearly as clean as the new version. The cables are now going from the down tube above the bottom bracket, and they are attached to the linkage with some very nice parts onto the bearing, and I think it looks awesome. Propain has done a really great job with that. In terms of chain slap, there is now a new chainstay protector which makes the bike very quiet. I actually didn't have to use an STFU bike, and I think that's really awesome. Propain has also improved the depth of the seat tube, which is for me very important because that allows me to put my seat a little bit lower, and I think it's been beneficial for my riding when it gets super steep and super gnarly, especially when using a 170mm dropper post. There is also now 2 mounts on the top tube, and that allows you to mount a pump or a multi-tool from some brands such as Topic, for example, and this is especially good for the bigger frame size such as large, extra large. In terms of color, the Tyee CF, which is the carbon version, comes with 3 different options: Safari, Black, and that Deep Forest, which is a pretty dark blue, and I think it looks absolutely awesome, especially with some of the old slick parts I have on my bike. I am now going to give you a bike check of my bike because this build is completely unique. Propain is my frame sponsor. They provide me a frame and then I build it with the parts from my partner. In terms of suspension, I've got the DVO Onyx D1 on the front with 75 psi, on the back a Topaz with 185 psi, and 2 volume spacer on the positive chamber, and I am 142 pounds. For the brakes, of course, I use my Dominion A4 from Ace Components. Those ones are the black models. They've got a grey silver, which is new for me. I used to use the bronze. Only difference is the color. I've got sintered brake pads with 203mm disc. As I'm talking about the brakes, I actually realized I forgot to mention another update, is the way that Propain designed the frame. The caliper is now hidden behind the seat tube and the chainstay in order to protect it. For the transmission, I use the rotor Capic cranks, 170mm length. Since this bottom bracket is a little bit higher than the previous one, since I had made some modification, I had a 27.5 wheel on a 29er frame. My bottom bracket was a little bit too low on the previous model. This is way more conventional, and that makes the pedaling uphill better, especially when it's technical. I've got a 30 teeth oval chainring, which I really like because that gives me smoother, more consistent power, so it's easier to find traction when it gets technical. For the cassette, I've got a 12-speed E13 Elixir R 945. This is called the Galactic color, and it goes really well with the KMC 12-speed oil slick chain that I have. In terms of oil slick as well, I've got the Ergon G1 Enduro. Those are size regular with a factory grip. They are oil slick with the SM Enduro comp seat with the oil slick rails as well. I've got a brand new Topic Ninja cage. This is a side mount, so it's very easy to take the water bottle out, and it's got a little multi-tool here so I can adjust or fix the bike as I go during the ride. For the cockpit, I've got my one-up components bar, as always 35mm rise, cut at 745mm. I've got the 35mm stem. Since the bike is a little bit longer, 35 fits me really well. And for seat post, I use the 180 trimmed down to 170. Pedals, Special 12 from Time Pedals. They've been awesome. I use that on every single of my bike. And for my shoes, I've got the Physique Gravita Tensor shoes, but I use a 13-degree cleat. Those pedals come with 13 or 17-degree cleat. The 13 for me gives me plenty of float, but also a lot of safety when I need to unclip. Wheels and tires. I use the E13 LG1R Enduro wheels. They are carbon wheels and they're absolutely amazing. They are light, they are dynamic, very reliable. For tires, Maxxis obviously. I've got a DHR2 on the back. That's a 2.4 with a double down casing, 3C grip, and on the front I wanted something a little bit more aggressive with more volume, so I've got the Assegai 2.5 as well, a double down and 3C grip. I use the same combo on all my trail bikes basically. Sometimes I will go to a downhill casing if I go very extreme, but on this bike, since I'm doing a lot of pedaling, the double down offers me plenty of performance, reliability with a pretty reasonable weight, and it's been awesome. I think I've gone through every single part. Maybe I forgot my chain guide, E13, transmission. I use a Shimano XT 12-speed. I am not sponsored by Shimano, but I really like their product. It works well, it's very reliable, simple to use and service, and I purchased that on backcountry.com. Check out the link in the description, they've got some good sales going on. I think that's about it. Thanks a lot for watching my review of the all-new Propain Tyee. If you enjoy that bike and you consider purchasing one, check out the link in the description to the Propain website that does support my channel. And if you just enjoy the video, make sure you subscribe, give me a like and a comment. Now, if you're gonna be in California this weekend, let's meet, because I will be at Sea Otter Classic with Propain bikes. So come by the booth, take a look at this bike, ask me any question you want, get an autograph, a picture. It's gonna be a fun time. That's it for this video. I'll see you next week, but for now I'm gonna go ride.